So yesterday, Matt Walsh testified in favor of a Tennessee bill banning child gender mutilation and completely wrecks an elected Democrat in the process. This is an amazing video. We're going to jump into it in just 1 second. You guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, make sure you head on over to my locals community. I will pin a link down below, jamesklug.locals.com. You can sign up for free, or you can contribute monthly for as little as 1 cup of coffee per month. Instead of going to that, just once a month, instead of going to that coffee shop that hates America, you can put that money towards a YouTube channel that loves America. Pretty sweet deal, right? But you guys, even if you don't want to contribute monthly, you can do it for free. It takes just a quick second to sign up. jamesklug.locals.com. Make sure to do that today. Let's jump into this. So we have an article here from the Daily Wire. And I want to jump into this article before we jump into the footage, just because it kind of lays out a little bit of context for us. Matt Walsh testifies in favor of Tennessee bill banning child gender mutilation. Nashville, Tennessee. Daily Wire host Matt Walsh testifies before a Tennessee House committee and sparred with Democrat lawmakers Wednesday as a bill that would ban sex change treatments on minors makes its way through the legislature. Apparently, Democrats are pushing back against that because that's where we're at nowadays. Walsh spoke in front of the House Health Committee at the Cordell Hull building on House Bill 1, a bill introduced by Republican House Majority Leader William Lamberth that would prohibit so-called gender transition medications and surgeries on minors. Seems pretty reasonable. Quote, "We should be able to agree that it's never okay to chemically castrate, sterilize, butcher, or mutilate a child. And in fact, all decent people do agree on this point," Walsh said during his testimony. "But many of the people who hold power in this country and who run our institutions, including our medical institutions, do not pass this basic test of decency. Why is that?" Walsh then said that it did not make sense for children who are not allowed to do things like purchase firearms or get tattoos to be able to make such impactful decisions. We've talked about this with people out in the street, as well as, during this show, of the list of things that just children can't do. Can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't buy a firearm, you can't get a tattoo. But you can make irreversible decisions on your body, right? You can destroy your sexual function before the age of 18, 15, 16, 14. You can make decisions like that. That's far more permanent than any tattoo would ever be. He goes on to say, children were being coerced into making decisions that they are not equipped to make. The bill was introduced following an investigation by Walsh that revealed that the Vanderbilt University Medical Center had performed double mastectomies on minors. That's the top surgery on young girls. VUMC paused all such surgeries in October 2022 after an inquiry from Republican lawmakers. So let's jump into this testimony. I mean, this is really something else. There's a few clips that we'll jump into, and they just keep getting better and better. Matt Walsh tweets, "Today I testified at a committee hearing in support of a bill banning child mutilation in Tennessee. A Democrat on the committee asked what qualifies me to speak on the subject. It was a very dumb question, but I tried my best to answer it for him." I love how he lays that out. It's like, oh, it's stupid. When I first saw this, I was like, uh-oh, how do you answer? But, yeah, let's jump into it.
Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious. You testified.
Right. He
as
needs
to a
an
lot of your
educational
own
background to
research.
talk
I'm
about
curious
this.
for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualifies you to speak to that.
Well, my
Mr.
background
Walsh.
that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience.
Seems pretty reasonable. Also a taxpayer. Like, the nerve on this guy. He's trying to get him with an argument from authority saying, you need something to be able to touch on this. And he wants Matt Walsh to bite and try to explain why he has the authority to speak on this. When in reality, what authority do you need to have an opinion or be concerned with children under the age of 18 making permanent decisions for their life, cutting into their bodies, doing irreversible procedures on their bodies? You need a doctorate for that?
Also, I did, now it's true, I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
Representative Clemens, you're
And
recognized.
for what purpose do you,
It's the perfect response. You just throw it back on them. It is the perfect response. You don't need to bite onto what they're asking there. You're in no way do you need schooling to have an opinion on this. And he very clearly made that point, and I thought it was great.
conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to,
Clemens.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your
Let's state that.
publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
On,
No, I really like the
Mr.
idea
Walsh.
of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
Bam. Are you using it to get clicks, Mr. Walsh? As he's ambushing Matt Walsh with just absurd questions. That's really, I mean, he made a huge mistake in asking these questions to somebody that's as used to talking to their, opposition as Matt Walsh. But that's also a lesson to learn for just anybody watching is, if people are asking you, oh, what is your authority to speak on this matter? Well, I have the ability to think. I have the ability to read, and I have the ability to just, decide what's right and wrong. Next clip. Walsh goes on to say, I love this part where one of the Dems fell completely silent when I simply asked whether he thinks 16-year-olds can consent. Ben Shapiro tweeted this.
I found it, thank you, Mr. Walsh. I found it interesting. One of our people testified today that they had their gender affirming surgery at 16. And I know you in former comments mentioned this on your blog. At about 16, you're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says. Even going so far as to say, 16 people. When you're 16, you should be married and could be pregnant or should be pregnant. So I'm curious if 16 is an adult in your view. Why does this bill have the minor defined as 18?
Mr.
Well,
Walsh, you're recognized.
Yeah, that's a hit piece you took from Media Matters, from something when I was a radio host 13, 14 years ago in my early 20s. It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people tended to marry young historically, and that's all that was about. How does that relate to this?
This guy came prepared to ambush Walsh in this, and it's just not. It just doesn't quite go the way he wants it to go.
Subject?
Just curious of your definition of if you feel like people are adults at 16 should.
Well, people are
should
adults
this-
at 18, but actually, your brain is not fully developed until you're 25. So we should be having a conversation about whether we should even be doing these surgeries to people at 18. But certainly before 18, it's absurd. I mean, do you think that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? Do you?
The quiet follow-up.
No?
And that's it. Runs away.
We do not. Yeah, we ask the questions. It's not. It's. Representative Hemmer, you are recognized.
They don't need to answer the questions. But it's an easy question to answer. Do you believe that a 16-year-old can meaningfully, and I'm glad he included that, meaningfully consent to having body parts removed? Simple yes or no. In fact, any reasonable person would probably want to answer that. Like, no, I don't believe that. That's absurd. Or yes, I do. It's likely that Mr. Caleb Hemmer here believes that is absolutely okay. But he didn't want to answer that. Certainly not on camera. That's horrifying. But Matt Walsh puts him exactly in the spot. He puts him back in the spotlight after bringing up a hit piece. Walsh has done a whole segment on that hit piece talking about what he was talking about when it came to the biological fact that women are fertile at certain ages, but also the difference in norms between people getting married and having kids today versus back in the day. He's done a whole response on that. But Hemmer brought that up because it was a nice little hit piece, nice little gotcha, and it didn't quite go the way he wanted. He wanted Walsh to be on the defense, and Walsh would refuse to stay on defense. Asking that simple question, can they meaningfully consent? Can a 16-year-old meaningfully consent to having body parts removed? Ran away. So Caleb responds. Caleb Hemmer, the elected official, responds basically to Ben Shapiro's tweet saying, in which Matt Walsh blog leaves an elected Democrat absolutely speechless with one simple question. This clip is stunning. That's the one that we just watched. Caleb Hemmer responds saying, well, it leaves you speechless when someone admits they are in favor of 16 child brides getting pregnant. Here is what really went down. So he posts this. He says, this is what really went down, right? And this is a post from, Walsh ends up retweeting the post. This is a post from the Tennessee Holler, a very far left, basically propaganda outlet. And it's edited. It's an edited clip. It's very edited. We can just look at a couple parts right here.
You're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says. Even going so far as to say when you're 16, you should
Edit
be
right there.
married and pregnant. 16 is an adult in your view. Why does this bill have minor defined as 18?
I was a radio host 13, 14 years ago in my early 20s. It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people...
So Walsh responds to this, as well as a handful of other people, but Walsh says, hi, Caleb, just to clarify, you're claiming that this edited montage is a more accurate reflection of our exchange than the actual full unedited clip that I posted, ? So Caleb Hemmer posts a fully edited montage saying this is what really went down, leaving out some of Matt's responses, all of that. I don't know if that works out very well for you. Walsh also tweets out that video saying this left-wing propaganda outfit has, of course, edited the videos to take out most of my answers, so please make sure to help them out by posting my thread with the full interactions. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. This interaction, to me, is so shocking in the sense that, one, it's an amazing interaction to look at for an example of how to respond to these people. They want to put you on defense of why you're against this. Why are you against this? What qualifications do you have to speak on this? And you don't need to answer those questions. You can simply, you don't need to go to college to say that it's wrong to castrate children. You don't need to go to college to say that it's wrong to be in favor of this child abuse that's taking place. Daily Wire posts one more positive clip where there's a Republican asking him a question. I did want to highlight this before we wrap things up. One of the representatives asks Matt Walsh for statistics on suicidal tendencies for kids who have transitioned. Let's check this one out.
Quick question for you. We've heard in the news last week and even today.
This is a common argument
that
of them saying that it reduces suicide rates if they do go about these irreversible surgeries.
We've heard that
hormones.
Suicides are prevalent, and suicide has impacted my family, so I'm sensitive when I hear something like that. I've read some of the stuff that you've done, and I was wondering, can you speak to the statistics of mental health and suicidal tendencies for the people who have gone through transition and for people who have not? In your studies, from what I've read, can you speak to that?
Mr.
Sure.
Walsh, you're recognized.
Sure. Well, the claim that doing the chemical castration drugs or surgery or hormonal intervention, the claim that this prevents suicide or has positive psychological effects down the line is utterly, totally baseless. There are no credible long-term studies that bear that out. And one of the reasons for that is that there couldn't possibly be any credible long-term studies because we've never done this to kids on this scale ever before in history. So this current, shall we say, crop of children, they are the guinea pigs. This is all experimental. We're sort of trying it out on them to see if it works.
And that's the case. They're trying to show that, it reduces suicide rates among these youth, and how could they possibly know? This is all so new. There is no long-term data on this topic. There is none. They're just trying it out on the kids. They're trying it out on children and just saying, oh, well, this is the first wave. We'll figure out how it goes. Is that acceptable? Now, to finish this off, I tweeted out that video, which is now at 1.9 million views, of Caleb Hemmer embarrassing himself, running away from the question if children should be allowed to consent, or if they can consent meaningfully. He ignored the question here, but perhaps he'll answer the question on Twitter, which I did reach out on Twitter, saying, at Caleb Hemmer, do you believe that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? There's a lot of people asking him this on Twitter, and still no response. Why no response? If he believes yes, say it. Let's hear your view. He obviously does believe yes, but it's so egregious, it's so disgusting, that he can't even answer yes at all, and he can't answer no because of fear of the mob's backlash. He's a Democrat. He's elected. He will get booted by the mob, and they will rally against him if he says no to this. Let me know what you guys think about Matt's response in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about this excuse for a leader, Caleb Hemmer. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. I'll catch you guys next time.